Have you ever found yourself wide awake at 3:17 a.m., staring at the ceiling while the rest of the world sleeps peacefully? Maybe your heart is beating a little too fast. Maybe your legs feel restless. Or maybe your mind just won't stop spinning, running through memories, worries, or things you thought you had already put to rest. If you're a woman over 50 and this early morning wake-up has become more than just an occasional annoyance, you're not imagining it, and you're certainly not alone. Why does this keep happening? Is your body trying to tell you something? And more importantly, what can you actually do about it? In today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 simple, science-backed things you can do the next time you find yourself awake between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. They're not complicated and they don't involve medication, just gentle, natural strategies I've used myself and shared with women like you for over 30 years. One of them, number 4, almost no one talks about, and yet it could be the missing piece to your peaceful night's sleep. So if you're ready to stop wrestling with your rest and start reclaiming those quiet early hours, stay with me. Let's begin. Number 1, stop forcing sleep. Start redirecting your mind. I remember one night not too long ago when I woke up at exactly 3:17 a.m. The house was quiet, the darkness was still, but my mind was anything but calm. My first thought, if I fall asleep right now, maybe I'll get 4 hours. Wait, no, maybe 3. Okay, maybe 2.5. And just like that, the panic settled in. Carla, one of my longtime patients and now a good friend, told me she'd been through this so many times it felt like a routine. She's 67, a retired school teacher, and still full of energy. But for years, she struggled with waking up at odd hours. She said it felt like her body betrayed her. She would lie there frozen in bed, trying to force herself back to sleep, only to feel more awake, more anxious, and more defeated. The truth is, that's exactly what happens when we try to fight sleep. Your brain senses frustration, stress begins to rise, and your body responds with cortisol. That's your natural stress hormone. Cortisol is what wakes us up, sharpens our thoughts, and prepares us to act. It's great in the morning, not at 3 a.m. So if you're like Carla or like me that night, here's what I suggest. Stop forcing it. Instead, sit up slowly. Don't flip on the lights or jolt out of bed. Just shift your posture. Now take a deep breath. Inhale through your nose for a slow count of 4. Hold it. And exhale gently through your mouth for 6 counts. Repeat that a few times. What you're doing is calming your nervous system, signaling your body that you're safe, that everything's okay. Then check your space. Are your pillows flat and lumpy? Are the sheets tangled up around your legs? Maybe the air is a little too chilly or too stuffy. These little discomforts are often the hidden culprits behind our early wake-ups. Make a few small changes. Smooth out the sheets. Fluff your pillow. Adjust the window or turn on a fan. Think of it as resetting your sleep environment. And here's something I love to remind people. This hour between 3 and 5 a.m. isn't all bad. In fact, some of history's greatest minds embraced it. Leonardo da Vinci, for one, often used these quiet hours to think, sketch, and create. There's a peaceful magic in those early moments when the world is still. Maybe your mind isn't betraying you. It might just be offering you space to reflect, to imagine, to simply breathe. So the next time you find yourself awake and restless before the sun, remember, don't panic and don't wrestle with your sleep. Instead, breathe, adjust, and allow your mind to settle. You might just find something beautiful waiting for you in the stillness. If this story resonates with you, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. And if you're still with me here in Chapter 1, leave a comment below with 1 so we know you're watching. Have a question. Drop it in the comments too. We read every single one. Number 2, hydrate, but do it wisely. Some nights I wake up feeling like I've been sleeping in a desert. My mouth dry, my legs twitching, and a strange warmth rising from within, even though the room is cool. I've come to learn that this isn't just a coincidence. It's dehydration. Quiet, sneaky, and one of the most overlooked reasons we find ourselves wide awake in the middle of the night. I remember a patient of mine, Miss Evelyn, who once told me she thought something was seriously wrong with her because she kept waking up around 4 a.m. Her heart would race, her muscles felt restless, and she'd toss and turn, convinced it was anxiety. Turns out it was something far simpler. She just wasn't drinking enough fluids, and not the right kind. But let me be clear, running to the fridge and guzzling ice-cold water at 3 a.m. is not the solution. In fact, doing that can actually jolt your system awake even more. Your stomach tenses, your body feels shocked, and suddenly you're even more alert than before. Instead, I always suggest keeping a small glass of room temperature water by your bedside. Even better, slightly warm water. Just a few gentle sips, not a full glass. Your body responds better to warmth in the middle of the night, especially when it's trying to stay in a state of rest. Want to take it a step further? Try adding a tiny pinch of natural sea salt, not the white iodized kind, but something richer, like Celtic or Himalayan salt. Wayuani, because while you sleep, your body is slowly losing not just water, but important minerals like potassium and magnesium. These electrolytes are essential for calming your muscles and supporting your nerves. If salt water isn't appealing, I have another favorite, chamomile tea. I've used it myself for years, and I recommend it to many of my patients. Brew a gentle cup before bed and keep it in a small thermos by your nightstand. Chamomile contains apigenin, a natural compound that soothes your brain and helps ease anxiety. It's not just folklore. Modern science backs this up. And unlike other teas, chamomile won't overstimulate your bladder. Hydration is about balance. When you give your body the right kind of fluid, in the right amount, you're supporting its natural rhythm. You help your heart stay steady, your temperature stay stable, and your muscles stay still. It's a small act of care that can have a big impact, especially in the quietest hours of the night. So next time you wake up feeling uncomfortable or unsettled, pause before panicking. Maybe all you need is a few slow sips of something warm, a quiet ritual that whispers to your body, "You're safe. Go back to sleep." If you're finding these tips helpful so far, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And if you're still here with me in Chapter 2, leave a comment with number 2 below to let us know you're watching. If you've got questions, I'd love to hear them too. Number 3, check your emotions. They might be the culprit. There's something about the stillness of early morning, around 3 or 4 a.m., that makes emotions louder than usual. I used to think it was just the silence or the darkness, but over time, I've come to believe that it's also our hearts trying to speak when everything else has quieted down. I once had a deeply moving conversation with Barbara, a warm-hearted woman in her early 60s who had been waking up at 4:12 a.m. for weeks. She was convinced it was something hormonal, maybe menopause or her blood sugar. But the more we talked, the clearer it became that it wasn't her body crying out. It was her heart. You see, Barbara's daughter had recently moved across the country. They were incredibly close. And even though Barbara tried to stay strong and busy during the day, the sadness had nowhere to go. It showed up in the quietest hours of the night, that lingering ache, that weight she couldn't quite name. It was grief, unspoken and unattended. Interestingly, traditional Chinese medicine has long believed that the lungs are most active between 3 and 5 a.m., and that they're closely tied to emotions like grief and sorrow. While Western science may not frame it the same way, I've seen enough over the years to believe there's wisdom in that old understanding. Emotional stress doesn't disappear when we go to bed. It just waits. So what can you do when your emotions wake you up before the sun? Here's a small but powerful practice I've shared with many of my patients. Keep a notebook beside your bed. When you wake, don't reach for your phone. Instead, pick up that notebook and simply write down 3 thoughts. They don't have to be deep or beautiful, just honest. Maybe it's "I miss her," or "I'm overwhelmed," or even "I don't know why I'm awake." This process is called externalizing cognition, a fancy term for getting your swirling thoughts out of your head and onto paper. And it works. A study from the University of Rochester found that people who wrote about their emotions for just 15 minutes a night had lower anxiety and better sleep over time. After you write, take a slow breath in through your nose, and as you exhale, quietly say to yourself, "I release this for now." Not forever, just for now. You're giving yourself permission to rest, not by ignoring your feelings, but by honoring them gently. It's not weakness to feel deeply. It's not wrong to miss someone, to worry, or to carry quiet sadness. But when we allow those feelings a moment of recognition, we make room for rest to return. If this message spoke to you tonight, I'd love for you to subscribe to our channel. And if you're still here with me in Chapter 3, just leave a comment with number 3 so we know you're watching and walking this journey with us. Have something on your heart? I invite you to share. Number 4, reset your body with gentle movement. There's one simple trick that most people forget when they're lying awake in the middle of the night, and it might surprise you. It's not tea, it's not counting sheep, it's movement. I know, it sounds odd. Why would you move when you're trying to sleep? Shouldn't you be still, eyes closed, pretending you're asleep until your body finally gives in? That's what I used to think too. Until one night, after tossing and turning for what felt like an eternity, I simply sat up. Not out of frustration, just instinct. And everything changed. Your body, after 15 to 20 minutes of restlessness, begins to tighten. Your muscles coil up, your breathing becomes shallow, and your nervous system gets stuck in a sort of limbo. That's when movement, gentle, slow, intentional, can be the most powerful reset button you have. Let me walk you through what I often suggest to my patients, especially those in their 50s, 60s, and beyond. This routine is not a workout. It's a whisper to your body that says, it's okay now, you can let go. First, just sit up slowly in bed. No sudden moves. Let your body shift gradually. Then begin with your neck. Gently roll it from side to side. Imagine tension sliding away like iron and slipping through your fingers. Next, lift your shoulders up towards your ears as you breathe in and let them drop with a soft exhale. Do this a few times. It's incredible how much stress we unknowingly store in our shoulders. Now slide forward slightly and hinge at your hips. Let your hands reach toward your knees or your shins, whatever feels comfortable. Don't force anything. Just allow your spine to stretch, like a gentle sigh running down your back. Finally, give your legs a little shake. Nothing fancy, just a light bounce like you're shaking off a long day. These are what I call micro movements, tiny, intentional actions that do wonders for your nervous system. They increase blood flow, loosen tight muscles, and signal to your brain that you're safe, grounded, and ready to rest again. And here's one more tip that's easy to miss. If your hands or feet are cold, and they often are in the middle of the night, rub them together. That friction creates warmth, and warmth is incredibly important. It tells your body that it's time to settle. Cold extremities can confuse your internal systems, making it harder to fall back asleep. I've seen studies showing that warming your feet can actually shorten the time it takes to drift off. And in my own experience, even a few minutes of this soft movement can melt away the stubborn wakefulness that once felt so overwhelming. So if you've been lying still for too long, trying to fight your way back to sleep, maybe it's time to try something gentler. Move a little, stretch, breathe. Let your body feel supported, not stuck. If you're still watching and finding this helpful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And if you're here with me in Chapter 4, leave a comment with number 4 below so we know you're part of the journey. Questions or thoughts? We'd love to hear them. Number 5, calm your mind with gentle sound. If you've ever found yourself lying in bed at 3:45 a.m., eyes wide open, thoughts racing like a freight train, you're not alone. In fact, I often say this to my patients. The mind is the loudest thing in the room when everything else is quiet. And when your mind starts sprinting, replaying conversations, making to-do lists, worrying about things you can't control, sleep becomes nearly impossible. But here's something beautiful I've discovered. Sound, the right kind of sound, can gently guide you out of that spiral and back into rest. Let's talk about pink noise. You may have heard of white noise, that constant static-like hum that mimics a fan or an untuned radio. But pink noise is its softer, sleepier cousin. It emphasizes lower frequencies, which makes it more calming and easier on the brain. Think of the sound of steady rain falling on a rooftop, the rhythmic crash of ocean waves, or wind rustling through leaves. A 2017 study by Northwestern University found that pink noise actually helps synchronize brainwaves, making it easier to slip into deeper, more restorative sleep. If nature sounds aren't your thing, another option is guided meditation. I usually recommend ones that are short, between 5 and 10 minutes, and feature a soothing, steady voice. Avoid anything with jarring intros, background music that's too lively, or ads that might interrupt the peace. The goal is to give your mind something calming to focus on, without overstimulating it. One of my favorite stories comes from a patient named Georgia. She was 72, funny, sharp, and absolutely convinced she had an overactive brain. Nothing worked for her, not breathing exercises, not herbal teas. Then one day she told me, "You know what finally did it? A documentaries about Victorian-era wallpaper. I don't think I've ever made it past chapter 2. And she was serious. She'd put it on every night and fall asleep within minutes. That's the magic of monotone audiobooks. Dry history, gentle narrations of nature essays, even educational material about rocks and minerals. If it's steady and dull enough, your brain latches on just enough to distract itself from spiraling, and then lets go. Here's the trick. Set a sleep timer so the audio doesn't play all night, and keep the volume low. Just a whisper. Let the sound be a soft thread that pulls you away from your thoughts and back into the safety of sleep. Because sometimes when your mind won't be quiet, you don't need to silence it. You just need to give it something more peaceful to follow. If you've made it all the way here to chapter 5, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment below with number 5 so we know you're still with us. Got a favorite sleep sound or a quirky audiobook like George's? Share it. We'd love to hear it. If you've made it to the end of this video, I want you to know you're not just someone who struggles with sleep. You're someone who listens to her body, someone who seeks peace instead of pushing through pain, someone who is still growing, still learning, and still deeply worthy of rest. Waking up at 3 a.m. doesn't make you broken. It makes you human. It makes you someone whose mind and body are asking gently, sometimes urgently, to be heard. And now you know how to listen. Maybe it starts with a sip of warm water, a slow breath, a small stretch, or simply writing down a thought that's been quietly waiting for your attention. Whatever it is, let it remind you of this. You have power even in the stillness. You have the right to rest, not just at night, but in your heart. If this video has helped you, please don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another moment of care, comfort, and connection. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for spending this time with me. Your presence here means more than you know. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you in the next one.